Hi there, I'm Joey.
I'm Jacob.
And we are watching Star Trek for the first time. Last time on Star Trek, Kirk was lonely, Spock was in love, and McCoy was from Georgia.
Yes, that is
That's what it was.
That's the description.
That's what it was. Today we are watching an episode with a really cool title. The Devil in the Dark.
The Devil in the Dark?
And I don't know why, I'm just picturing, for some reason, Roger Delgado's master from Doctor Who.
I mean, that's what I would picture.
Right? Like I don't know. He just sounds like he belongs in an episode called The Devil in the Dark. He just... but yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that's a really cool title.
It's a cool title. Like I don't know.
I have no idea what it could be about.
Yeah, but I'm interested. So yeah, we're gonna get into post-episode thoughts in a second. Be sure to join us then. We are about to watch The Devil in the Dark. So I joked about Roger Delgado at the beginning, but this is a Doctor Who story.
In presentation, in its like general story theming.
Yeah, what it wants to do, specifically, oddly enough, but despite this being a late 60s show, it reminded me of a 70s Pertwee story from Doctor Who. You know, in its in the type of characters that were created for this episode, the way that our main cast bounced off of them, our monster, our political theming, the sets, it just felt very like John Pertwee era.
All
Doctor
very
Who.
70s Who.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's us reading more into it than maybe is necessary.
But even right down to the beginning, like usually like most Star Trek episodes, you open on like inside the ship and they'll like throw you into some plot line that you have no clue what's going on at the beginning.
Right. Normally because we're joining right with Kirk and whoever's beating down with him.
Yeah, but no, in this case, like we started off on the side characters, and have we ever had a Star Trek episode before this that didn't start with any characters that we knew already?
If we didn't start with a ship scene, we started with them beaming already down on the planet.
Yeah, but there are always like familiar characters there. Like here, we started with like a bunch of these side characters. It had a very like Doctor Who and the Silurians opening with like where you saw like the perspective of this one guy that's about to die and he gets attacked by this monster and
completely unseen. You don't see how this guy died.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like that. This episode had not a high body count, but like.
enough.
You focused enough on the deaths that I think they felt really impactful, you know? Despite the fact that like none of them were like named characters. Well, I think they were named, but like we didn't like know them for long, you know?
If they were named, they were named for all of 2 seconds.
Very limited crew in this episode. It was just Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and a little bit of Scotty. And that was it. Mm-hmm. So I find that interesting.
Not mentioning the red shirts, obviously.
Yeah. I had to laugh. There's a bit where like Kirk is like briefing his men on like what they're about to do down in these caves here, and he like walks over to this line of like 6 or 7 red shirts, and it's just like, well, okay, I literally have in my notes here. Kirk lines up the bodies, like they're just dominoes standing there ready to get tipped over, you know. But you really loved, and I mean you loved, because you would not shut the fuck up during the episode when it was first introduced.
Oh, I love this.
Towards the beginning of the episode, Spock theorizes what this monster could be, and he's like, well, it could be a silicon-based life form. And you were like, silicon-based life form? Fuck yeah! And you just like...
I think I recall like being like all with Spock on guessing like how things would go, what the turns would be.
Yeah.
I know I didn't guess it early on. But like once it was revealed to be silicon life-based form, I was like, okay, so the nodules are probably eggs. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Up until I didn't say anything. Up until they entered a cavern where there's just tons of them.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, these are eggs.
Yeah. But it is a cool idea. It's a very cool idea. And despite the costume for the creature is a bit hokey.
A bit hokey.
It's called the Horda.
The Horda, yeah,
Horda.
I remember. I didn't catch it the first couple times they said it.
Yeah.
But they said it a few more times then.
The Horda, yeah. But yeah, so...
I mean, it's a big, like, rock turtle thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of, almost like, there is a Doctor Who monster it reminds me of. In costume design, it's a little bit like the jelly versions of the Axons.
Okay.
And if not, like it you know, they're like some like in the way it interacts with our cast, I guess it's got like this creature from the pit vibe too. But I just, you know, Doctor Who references abound throughout this whole thing for me, at least.
Right, which are completely unintentional.
Before we move on with this conversation, though, I almost forgot to mention, this episode does appear on 2 of our 5 top 10 lists.
Oh,
so it comes in at number 6 on the Entertainment Weekly list, and number 4 on the Den of Geek list.
Interesting.
So people really like this one, and I can see why.
I can see why. Outside of my love for the idea of silicon-based life, because I think it's super fascinating in and of itself, it's just a good episode.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Like, strong side characters. I mean, I think it hooks... I mentioned this would hook most audiences with its different opening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very different kind of opening for the show. And you could see how, like, this one in particular influences, I think, a lot of other sci-fi at the time, too. And again, I am specifically thinking of Doctor Who here. Not that Doctor Who hadn't done, like, misunderstood creature before. Hell, not that Star Trek hadn't done misunderstood creature before. But it feels different here for some reason, and I can't quite pinpoint why.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are Doctor Who writers who
who saw this.
Who saw this, yeah. And weren't necessarily influenced by it, but like some nugget of this episode stuck in their mind.
Yeah. And also, just like as far as like other sci-fi at the time that's influenced by it, like the set here is phenomenal. Like I loved the cave settings.
Like we joked early on, we're like, okay, we're gonna beam down, then beam right back out. And you're like, nah, that's too expensive.
Yeah. Well, I had like 2 theories. I was like, what did I say at the beginning? I was like, okay, the creature, this guy that's like being like sent off on his own, and he's either gonna be like killed by the creature, or he's gonna be taken over by the creature, and he's gonna like kill all his men.
Yeah. Then when the crew comes, they'll beam him up, and it's a ship episode where he's the devil in the darkness killing everyone.
But I am glad it went another direction. I like that the title does sound more sinister than the creature actually is.
I think, if I'm honest, like I think it's supposed to be about the creature, given the initial framing.
Well, yeah.
But if you think about it too, like you could potentially think about it like that.
The miners?
That the miners are the devil in the darkness.
Yeah.
That's a bit more of a thinker, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge like really rack your brain about that. But I get what you're saying. I think like when it comes to I think it is referring to the creature because of how it's portrayed throughout most of the episode.
Yeah.
And again, it literally is to make the creature sound more sinister than it is. It's called the Devil in the Dark. It kills 3 people before we even see it.
Yeah,
and only then do you find out that it's a very sympathetic creature. It's the last of its kind or whatever. And I like that. I thought that was cool. I also like the bit where Spock like does like this like Vulcan mind connecting thing, and he really like feels the pain of this creature. Also, interestingly, during that mind connecting thing, he says like, "Oh, the Horda is very intelligent," and on the floor, the Horda writes, "No kill I," which I just think is kind of funny. But yes, I loved Leonard Nimoy's performance whenever he's like connecting with the creature to like really feel what it's going through and to like.
I think it lets him like be Spock, but be out there with the characterization Spock usually has.
Well, yeah, but also I feel like it's also the Horda almost talking through Spock, you know?
I mean, that's absolutely what's happening, at least in that second time he connected. And that first time was, I think, just Spock more reacting to the pain it's in.
Yeah. But I do love that, Spock connecting with the Horda does lead to like the best thing in the best joke in the whole which is right at the end when Spock is like, oh well, the Horda was into me.
It liked my ears.
And Spock is like, it liked you, and Spock goes, well, yes, it is a very intelligent creature. And I just thought that was really funny. I just really liked
it even had like the quirky Spock music.
Yeah. We didn't even get an eyebrow raised though, which I was surprised about.
Well, no, because then we got the Kirk equivalent of saying he's becoming more human.
I do kind of like that. In order to get the miners to not attack the Horda in the end, Kirk doesn't necessarily appeal to their humanity. He's more like, hey, you could actually make more money off of this if you're not mining here.
Yeah. Right, no, if you just let them dig the tunnels, like all the big Horda, and thousands of babies, and you just kind of reap the benefits.
Yeah. You're set. You're good. And at the end of the day, they contact the guy again, and he's like, yeah, we're making more money down here than we ever were before. Like, it's great.
You guys are about 10 minutes, and we've already made triple the bank.
Like, it's great. So I don't know, just like the little touch once again, like on just this episode tackling the darkness of humanity, in just saying like, oh yeah, well how we actually resolve this is by feeding into that.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I liked this episode. Obviously,
it was great. Yeah, it was really, really great. I enjoyed it. So
good commentary, good characterization, most importantly.
Yeah. And now we only have 4 episodes left in this season.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure we'll talk about it more when we're on like the last one of the season.
Yeah.
But I thought this whole project would go differently, if I'm honest.
How so?
I thought we would be dreading, not that we would be dreading it, I just thought like every episode we would watch would feel more like a drag.
No.
But like,
I remember even watching The Man Trap for the first time, and we finished it and we were like, that went by so fast.
Yeah.
That was so enjoyable.
Like we watched The Man Trap, and all those worries were dispelled.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, we watched Charlie X that same day.
Yeah.
And that happened.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about this.
But yeah, close to the end of the season. This is actually the longest season of any Star Trek show. Like, longest single season ever.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I just think that's worth mentioning because, we'll never be working quite as long on a single season. So
That's good to know, actually.
Yeah, so I guess that about does it. Be sure to join us next week when we continue Star Trek the Original Series. Until then, this has been Joey Morgan.
I'm Jacob.
And goodbye.